Hey there everybody, it's Mike DeLisio and I've got something special for you today. I've got guests at the Midwest Annex here to play 4 new small box games from AllPlay. You know me, let's introduce everyone else around the table.
I'm Bruce.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Azkedelia.
Yeah, we're excited to be here with you, Mike. We're going to be playing the 4 small box games from our upcoming Kickstarter campaign that's launching October 29th. We've got some really cool ones in this selection, and we're really excited to get these to the table and show you what we're bringing to the to our audience.
Well, let's just get right into it then. Let's go with the first game.
All right. Our first game is Oddland, designed by Dan Schumacher and with art by Cam Kendall. This game is really exciting because this designer is a first-time game designer and this is his first published game. Let me show you how it plays. In Oddland, we all play as explorers that are exploring a brand new island, an odd land, if you will. We are each going to have 7 species, 5 fauna, and 2 flora, in which we'll be trying to get the maximum scoring conditions based on each of their criteria. We will be exploring a shared island in which we will be adding tiles from our hand that can form a larger island. And every time we place one of these, we will be able to take one of our tokens and place it onto that tile that we just placed in order to increase their scoring conditions. But be careful, because your opponents will be able to come in and block you as well. So finding the right time to place the right meeples and finding the right time in order to make that really crucial play is important. The game is very quick. It plays in just 7 turns per player, and every turn you will be placing one of your terrain cards, and you must place one of your species tokens on the card that you just placed, and each species has its own unique scoring condition.
Should we state right now, though, that this is prototype components, yes?
Yeah, so all the games that we're going to be playing with are kind of a mix of like manufacturing samples, prototypes, Game Crafter, some DIY printed home yourself. But yes, this is still very close to what the final production is going to be.
Fantastic.
In Oddland, all of the species have their own unique scoring criteria. In the basic game, which you can tell is denoted by this symbol here, the flora actually does not score. It is simply a token that can be used to stop people from going onto your territory. The Grizzleap wants to be surrounded by mountains and will score 3 points for each mountain in the 8 surrounding areas, plus the area that he's on. The Begator wants to be close to water. The habitat that the Begator is in, every water tile that is touching that habitat will then be able to score 2 points. The Owloose would like to find lots of area to fly and scavenge for food, so he will score 2 points for every forest that is diagonal from the place that he is sitting, including his own space. The Pidgeahorse wants lots of room to run and will score 2 points for each beach territory in its habitat. And the Kangaroo is a very social creature. It wants to score 4 points for whichever row or column it is in that has the least amount of other tokens in it.
And just a quick question of clarification on that Begator there. This diagonal does not score, correct?
Right. So adjacency is always determined by orthogonal touching.
Got it.
Right? So you can see here that a habitat is formed whenever the same terrain type is touching orthogonally, and then all habitats that are adjacent to that would help score for the Begator.
Got it.
Well, that was Oddland, and the final scores came out to Bruce 68, Azkedelia 70, Mike 72, And I took the win with 78. So
It's a good game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because it's one of those games where every single turn has tremendous impact, because you have to place a token every time. And a lot of times you're hoping that you're going to place it in a place that's going to set you up later. Sometimes someone will do that on your behalf, but usually I think you have to do it yourself.
And I find the other interesting thing is like how alliances form to work together in some areas with certain species, and then in other places you're really trying to like mess up your opponents. And so I think it's really interesting the way that, like you said, every turn is so impactful. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that you are going to ally, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of, this is clearly my best move, but I know that I'm in with Azkedelia, so I have to make sure that I outscore her in something else. Right. You know what I mean? So there's that whole thing going on there. So yeah, really snappy game too. Yeah. Quick, but every turn matters.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was Oddland. All right, we're up with our next game, Money, by again, a very unrecognizable designer, Reiner Knizia.
I've never heard of him, so I'm interested to see what they can do.
And art by Anne Heidensick, who you would know from Honeybuzz. And some other very well-done games. Reiner came to us a couple years ago and offered us a couple of, just games that hadn't been in the American market for quite some time, like Through the Desert, and one of the games that we also looked at was Money. And honestly, over at AllPlay, we've just been enamored with this game. We're super excited about bringing it back. Our edition will include the Silver expansion, which I know some foreign editions have included, as well as a 2-player mode for the game. So we're really excited about it. In Money, what's going to happen is there are going to be different currency types that are going to be available for auction in the exchange. All of us are going to have a hand of cards, and we are going to secretly choose which cards we would like to auction. We will all reveal at the same time, and whoever has bid the highest number in total value of currency, so a 60 and a 20 would be 80, will get to go first. If there's ever a tie, there are serial numbers that will break the tie on these cards. The goal of the game is at the end, when this deck runs out, to have the most of certain types of currency as well as try to get bonuses. So one of the things that you're trying to do is trying to get your currency to a position of scoring 200 or greater value. If you do that, that currency will be worth the full value. So if you have 250 value in a currency, you will score 250 points. But if you have a moderate position, which is between 110 and 190, you will get the value of that currency minus $100 fee.
So 110 is terrible.
Yes. But then there's also a weak position, which is just anything under 100, it's just worth nothing, all right? Finally, there is gold and silver in the game, and gold and silver are worth full value, silver being 10 and gold being worth 20. Now, one last thing is before you, or after you figure out your scoring for each condition, you also get to claim bonuses. So there are 6 20s, 6 gold, 6 silver, as well as 330 in each currency and 320 in each currency. If you are able to get a full set of 3 in any of those, you will score an additional 100, okay? So all 320s of any currency will be worth 100, 3 gold will be worth 100, 3 silver will be worth 100. The trick to this game, though, is that your hand will contain the cards that you're trying to score, as well as the cards that you need to bid in order to get the types of cards that you need to score higher on the bonuses. So if you make your entire hand just the currency you want to score, you're not going to have anything to bid with. So there's an interesting balancing in this game of collecting the things that are going to help you score, as well as collecting certain high value cards to win future auctions with. All right, so we're all going to choose our first bid.
And when we bid, we're choosing for one of these cards? We're choosing for...
So we're exchanging our bid.
Yes.
Your bid is able to be exchanged with either side of the exchange market or with any other player's bid. You can also just collect your bid and put it back into your hand. Now, what you're going to do is, let's say that you bid the highest, but whatever he bid is more enticing to you than what's out here. You would trade your bid with him, collect his cards, put them in your hand, but then because he has your bid in front of him, he would then be the next highest bidder.
I see. Okay. Okay.
When we went over these, that has to be the same type to have the 200 to get the full value, or is it just your total hand?
No, the same type. Yep, for each currency. All right. 80.
80.
50.
All right, so we will break ties based on serial number. So I have a 4. Do you have anything lower than a 4?
At the end number?
Yeah,
The
full,
serial
yeah.
number.
Yeah. But you're...
Yeah. So right here, I have a 4.
Okay. Yeah, I have 39 and 77. Yep.
Okay, so I will get to go first, and I'm going to go ahead and exchange my bid with this, but now my bid is available for somebody else if they're going to want that later. But now Mike is second place, so you're up, Mike.
Alrighty. This is also 80 because you just bid that. But is that what I want? Yeah, I'm good with that. I'll actually trade these for these.
Okay, then we go here.
So I can trade this for these?
Yep, so you'll take all 4 of these, trade it for that, and then Azkedelia.
Well, all right. I think I'll take these two.
All right, then we refill both markets, starting with the one on the right here. Up to 4.
Indeed.
And that's the game. All right, so now you can score up your currencies. And remember, the 100 bonuses are added after the fact. I wanted that gold, Mike.
I wanted that, which he didn't even want.
No, I didn't want that at all.
That's nothing.
All right.
$540.
I was at 400. I would have been at 500 if I had that 30.
So these don't count. So I have 330 without the hundreds. I haven't had those.
So 330,
Yes.
430, 530, 630.
Yeah, 630.
That's better.
Let's see here.
Seems like the winner.
630.
I took all the fish.
That's 500 points right there.
All right, so how did you guys do that so quick? I have 220 here.
All right.
70, 100, 170, 220. So
220, 240, 260, 280 right there.
300.
300.
yep, and then over here I got 130,
430,
160,
480, 530.
Plus 100 bonuses. So what did he have?
530.
630?
and then each of these get 100 for being. Oh,
No. You have to have. Yeah.
You got the 30s there.
yeah.
Oh.
And
Did he?
not that yet. 30,
Yeah, he did. Yep.
30, 30. So that's another 100.
Yeah, he's at like 7 something, I think, if we're counting this right.
And that's it. So he doesn't have 100 bonus there. So yeah, that's it. And he gets 100 bonus for this.
I think you counted that. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nicely
so
done.
That was Bruce.
Nicely done. And you got all the fish.
I got all the fish.
What was that about when you beat me?
That's all right. I wouldn't have won even if I had that card. So.
When you said I was collecting these, I was trying to get these sets too.
Yeah.
And I was like, these are more likely to come up, and I could get them later.
It's so hard to like give up something that you're working towards to bid on something. And I think every time I play this game, there's that pivot of where I'm like, I've got 4 kangaroos. You know what? Kangaroos aren't going for me. I'm gonna use them to try to go for something else.
I got rid of gold. I had 2 of the golds, and I couldn't get that third.
Yeah.
Silver.
But
I think this is a underrated Knizia.
I 100% agree. It's got the hallmarks of a really good Knizia card game in the sense that you teach it in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And you're immediately hit with difficult decisions.
Yeah. The big difference if you own an older edition of this is the inclusion of the silver cards. But because now there are 6 silver and 6 gold, in the original edition, gold and silver did not give the 100 bonuses, but now they do. And so Knizia has said that this is his preferred method of the game, is playing with the gold and silver included. So, but otherwise the game remains pretty much unchanged from the current iteration.
Yeah,
So,
the artwork is lovely. It's great to see this game that's going to get back out there more available for people because it's a really good little card game.
yeah, and I think that this game kind of just deserves to be seen by more people.
I agree.
So there's a new 2-player mode in this one too?
Yeah, so there's a new 2-player mode. So this has never been in a different version, but the game comes with these, which you can use them in a multiplayer game as well, but these kind of like 0 bidding cards. So a lot of times I was bidding 1 card, but if you add this, you could put 2 cards down, and it makes it very unsure of whether your bid's 120. If you just put 1 card down, it's very easy to know, like, oh, as long as I bid over 60, I'll beat that
safe.
bid.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot harder to read people's bids by having this in your hand. Some people choose to play with it, some people don't. In a 2-player game, though, you'll actually be making 2 different bids in your hand, and you'll place them on either side of your 0. So in a 2-player game, I would reveal this, and I would bid 50 and
70.
50 and 70.
Yeah.
And then you would get to exchange just like normal, but there would be 4 bids between the players and 2 bids out here.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, seems like it would work. Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
This is our 3rd game. This is Ruins. So Ruins, also a pretty prolific designer, John D. Clare, our first game working with him. Very excited to be working on a John D. Clare crafting game with amazing art by Jake Morrison. Jake Morrison, I actually found from the game he did with Pandasaurus called Brew. And ever since then, I've really been enamored with his art style. And so when I got this game, I really wanted to find somebody that could do something very interesting and unique with the card crafting mechanic. So this is a shedding game in which we are going to be dealt a hand of cards, 9 cards to be exact, and we are going to shed our hands, okay? In this game, the first person to go out is going to score the maximum number of points, so on and so forth, all the way up until 4, which you will lose 1 point if you are the one player that's left in at the end of the round. In order to win this game, you need to be able to be at what's called the win position, which is 9 or 10 points. And if you go out first in a round that you have 9 or 10 points, you win. Okay. If that does not happen by the end of round 4, in round 4, whoever has the most points and tied counts for being the most, and whoever went out first in round 4, if there is not a winner, will go into what's called the Epic Showdown. And in the Epic Showdown, those players will all play 1 more hand, and the first player out wins. All right? So this is kind of a really spiritual successor to Custom Heroes, which was put out by AEG several years ago, in which it took a card crafting game, a shedding card crafting game, and this has really been built up from the ground up. As John D. Clare told me, he's like, this is me designing that same game with 10 years as a better designer. So I'm really excited to really bring this to market and show this to all of the people that love shedding and trick-taking games. Now, one thing I'll say for those on the cameras, you'll probably notice is in this game, you can see the backs of the cards. We've all kind of discussed like how that's going to work for this play, but the game will come with custom sleeves that have a image on the back, so the card sleeves will be completely covered. So in this game, you're going to be dealt 9 cards. And with those 9 cards on your turn, before we play, at the very beginning of a hand, you get to choose one of those cards and you get to flip it from its daytime side to its nighttime side, which you can see signified there, which is on the back. Some of them are going to increase the rank, and some of them might add special powers. After we've done that, we're going to begin the game. We will only be playing sets of cards, no runs, okay? And we can never increase the number of cards in the set. So if you play 2 2s, the next person can follow that with anything that is the same or higher. So 2 2s, 2 5s, 2 9s, 2 27s, which is something that can happen in this game.
Man. Okay.
When you play cards, you are allowed to do 2 things to those cards. Number 1 is you can modify it. Okay, you are able to buy cards from this market and basically discover something in your dig site. You will pay the cost associated above here. So I could pay 2 to take this card. I would layer it into the sleeve like so. And voila, my 5 is now an 8. So if you had played a 7 and I had this left in my hand, I could buy that card, play this as an 8. The market would shift down and we would do that. The other thing I can do is if I really like the fact that I have this 8, I can put what's called a claim card in there. So what happens with a claim card is from now on, this card is mine. So when we collect all the cards to shuffle out a new deck at the beginning of the round, anybody that is dealt my card must give it back to me.
I love it.
Okay? So you get to claim 2 cards throughout the game for you because maybe you upgrade something super powerful and you really want to make sure that that card stays with you. But let's take a look at what the different types of cards that you can upgrade your deck with do in the game, okay? So the first thing is, very simply, you can add cards that increase your rank. So as you can see right here, this is going to add 6 to your rank for a card, okay? So if you buy this, it will add +6 to whatever the number is, and that card is a new number for the rest of the game. The next thing is this question mark. The question mark is a may, okay? So if your card has a question mark, it can be combined with any other card you played as a wild rank. So you can just treat, so if you have a 2 in your hand, but then you have a 9 that has a question mark, you can just treat that 9 like a 2. Because the question mark just says, I could be whatever number you want me to be.
I love it.
Okay? The next thing you'll see these refresh tokens. These will reignite torches that you spent earlier in the round. They will come back every new hand, but if you want more torches to spend on more upgrades throughout the middle of the game, you're going to want to have some of these torch icons. Other things that are going to happen is there is this extra card symbol. If I have an 8 with this symbol on it, that card all by itself counts as 2 8s. Okay. You can have multiple of those on a single card. I have once had a card that equaled 5 of itself just by playing the single card. There's 2 other ones. So this one means that you will draw a card from the unused or undealt cards and discard a card. That basically kind of lets you curate your hand a little bit. And then the last one is the opponents that have the least amount of cards all draw a card from the Ruins deck that were undealt, and then we continue play. Okay?
Okay.
So that is, in essence, how Ruins works. There is one last very small rule in this game. If you play the exact same rank on top of another rank, so let's say you play 2 4s. If Bruce played 2 4s to your 2 4s, you would actually skip the next player and it would go to the next one.
Oh, man.
So you have to be prepared that if somebody plays the identical suits and ranks on top of yours, it will skip the next player in order and continue on.
It's brutal.
Yeah, that's rough.
One last thing that I will point out is In this game, unlike other games, if you pass, you can get back in if it comes back around.
You can.
You can.
Okay.
Okay, let's get started. That's the game.
Man.
My goodness.
Woof.
Well done.
Very well done. That's a clever way to do a shedding game. Because it has the hallmarks, other than you don't do runs, but it's the same general idea, right? I was afraid this was going to be overwhelming, but I think there's a perfect number of special powers. You know what I mean? So that you can look at it, you know what it does. It allows for some really clever strategic play because you built a card very early, and tactical play where you think, oh, maybe I can do something, that kind of a thing. I like that.
It creates a lot of weird combos, and the more that you kind of dig into and the rounds go on, the more you're just dealt things that are like, whoa, like this is like a card that's just really crazy. And I think that that's like one of the really interesting parts about this game that I particularly enjoy is just the shedding has been simplified to a point where all of the wild stuff can really shine, but not overwhelm.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
So I'm pretty happy about it. I'm really happy with the way the whole package came together. And I think people are really going to enjoy it. It's going to be, if you are into trick takers, shedders, that kind of game, I think it's going to be a delightful game to add to your collection that's just kind of does something that not a lot of other trick takers or shedding games do.
Right, yeah. I love the idea of the epic showdown, too.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's pretty fun when it happens.
Yeah, so.
Very cool.
Cool, awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, this is the final game. This is Vegas Strip, designed by kind of a AllPlay favorite, Peter Hayward. Really have enjoyed his games. But the first time I have had the pleasure to work with Mr. Vincent Dutrait with this really beautiful kind of golden era of Vegas style here. So really excited about this one. But this is a very clever bluffing and bidding game. So in a 4-player game, we are going to play as teams, all right? And we will have a different team every round. But the game will play over 3 rounds. Each team will collect money and split the earnings at the end of the round. And the players with the 2 highest chip totals are the winners at the end of the game. So not individual first, but the split difference of the 2 highest players, okay? So at the beginning of the round, I am going to deal the 2 people in turn order that have the different teams 2 of each of the casinos, okay? Of the 5 casinos. They are going to choose one of those casinos that will be corrupt, and they will choose one of those casinos that will be clean, okay? Then they will give their partners the corresponding casinos so that they have the same information. They will say, this casino is clean, this casino is rigged, all right?
Okay.
Then we'll begin to play. Starting with the first player, everybody will play 1 tile to 1 casino, and it will go clockwise until all players have played all of their tiles. When you play a tile to a casino, you are effectively bidding towards that casino. This is to show that you are cheating at gambling, okay? The next player can play a tile, and they can play it to any casino, but they could also play it to a casino with the rule being you cannot tie the leader. So in this situation, I am the leader with 2 since I was the first one to play there. So Azkedelia could come here with a 4 or anything higher than a 2, but she could not tie me as the leader. So I would not be allowed to do this on my next turn to tie her, whereas I could do this to take back the leadership of the casino, right? So we're gonna go around until all of our tiles have been played, but there are a couple of rules. The first rule is you may not ever play your 7 to the casino that you know is corrupt, okay? The second thing is you may never play more than 2 tiles to any one casino. Okay? So no casino can contain 3 of your tiles. Okay? And that's not, as a team, that's just your individual tiles. All right? At the end of the game, once all tiles have been placed, we will reveal which casinos are corrupt and which casinos are clean. The corrupt casinos are going to pay the leader $10. He has bribed the pit boss. The pit boss has let them come in and cheat at cards, but they're going to kick out all of the other people that were trying to cheat. If the casino is clean, they are going to capture the person that did the most cheating. They will get nothing, but everyone else slips under the radar and will get money equal to the number of their tiles. So if I had played this and I was not the leader, in this casino was clean, I would get $9. And then at the end of every round, all the money goes towards your team and you split evenly. Anything that doesn't round out just gets discarded and we move on to the next round. The last thing that you need to understand is that each casino has a different power. So these staff cards are randomly determined at the beginning of the game. This one says there can never be any 4s played on this casino. So none of us can play a 4 there. This one says there can only be 1 tile with each number here. So we cannot play tiles that have the same number. If you have only 1 tile at this casino, it is worth +3. So if you played your 7 here, it's worth 10. This one says there can never be more than 5 tiles on this casino total. And this one says when you place a tile here, you get $1, which will go to your team board. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to deal 2 cards to Azkedelia. The one casino that is not dealt in the first round is clean. $59 total.
32.
40.
What did you have?
43.
44.
Oh, man, by 1 point. It was that last round.
Winners.
Yep. All right, well, this is
Vegas Strip.
Yeah, this is
This is good.
yeah, it's one where the more you play with people that all kind of know it, I think it's going to lead to some like real heavy mind games. It already happened in this first go round with the 4 of us. This is my first time playing, and I was already trying to figure out if you were doing a double bluff.
This was my favorite thing that happened in this game is when I knew this casino locked at 5 tiles.
Yep.
So I played that 6 to make myself the leader, and there was 1 tile left to play.
Yeah.
And the anxiety that it put on everybody.
It was the best play. I mean, it was like, okay, one way or the other. Yeah.
I had a feeling I had gotten that. But it's fine.
Oh man, yeah. We've probably worked harder on development for this game than any other game that AllPlay has ever made.
Wow.
Just from the perspective of like, we really wanted to capture that tense bluffing feeling. And like this game is such a tightrope in terms of like, you put too much information in the game and it's just like, oh, it's very obvious. And you hide too much and nobody knows what's going on. But by having the rules of only being able to play 2 tiles, the number of the tiles that they have, you can't tie the leader, you can't play your corrupt. Like every rule that got added is just another piece of like making this subtle bluffing game, just like the right amount of information when tiles get played. Because like every time someone plays their 7 somewhere, the other team is like, oh, okay,
right.
Like this changes it. Yeah.
Well, that's why it was in the last round, especially, we were all slow rolling, waiting to play our sevens. Where in the first round, that wasn't the case. Like sevens came out relatively early in that one. So yeah, very, very interesting. And we'll talk about all 4 games here, right? In just a minute, and then we'll wrap this whole thing up.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for inviting us out. But yeah, let's box this up and talk about the games.
You got it.
Well, Mike, thanks for having us. We really enjoyed coming out and playing these games with you. Honestly, I'm really proud of this batch. AllPlay does a lot of these small boxes, and I think that this campaign really highlights what we're good at, is all unique, all different, and then all games that really are kind of unique in what they're doing in the market. So,
yeah, it's impressive. You've been able to kind of keep to these standard box sizes, and a lot of times smaller box games mean a smaller experience. That's not the case here, right? I think that you've packed a lot of punch into these small boxes, and like you said, none of these games play like each other. I mean, they all present very unique experiences, I think it's a really solid lineup of 4 games, and I think it's going to be appealing to a wide range of people, just because there's so many different experiences here.
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is that people, kind of trust AllPlay when it comes to what we're doing at this point. I think that, our bar of quality for the type of game that we're making, for the experience, for the quality, is pretty high for our backers, for the people that know what we're doing. And I'm just really hoping that, people play these games and really discover what we thought was special about them to decide to make them in the first place.
That sounds good. So let's do this, just for fun. Which one of these games do you think you are best at?
Best at? Ooh, okay. So very specifically me?
Yes.
I think because it's a game that rewards multiple plays, I think the game that I am best at out of these is Vegas Strip.
Okay.
A bluffing game, that's really my sweet spot.
Okay. Azkedelia, what do you think?
Well, the one I think I'm the best at would be Oddland, but I proved to be a little bit better at money. But Oddland's definitely, I like that strategy, that puzzle. Those things get me going. I really like how Oddland presents that. So I think that the puzzle one is definitely the one I would be best at.
Now, this was not worked out in advance. We just happened to be choosing different ones. I did not win this game, but I have a feeling, give me another game of this, and I'm going to do a lot better. I think this is one I have the highest potential to do well in.
And I really like the bluffing and the whole element of putting pressure on other people by what you did, and all your choices really matter for the whole table and not just for yourself.
Yeah.
So I really liked Vegas Strip for that.
Okay. All right. Well. Solid lineup. And thank you guys for coming to the Midwest Annex. It's a pleasure. You said it was your pleasure. It was definitely our pleasure. We got to play some great games and hopefully show them off to you so you can get an idea if this is something that you'd be interested in checking out. We'll have all of the information for the Kickstarter campaign in the notes for this video. So thanks again for watching. I'm Mike DeLisio.
I'm Bruce Schwerin.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Azkedelia.
And we are signing off from the Dice Tower Midwest Annex.
Thank you.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Bassel.